It appears that luck isn't on the side of the controversial rapper Kodak Black, who not only found himself arrested a while back, but is now going to be in jail until his final trial comes to a head.
Capri was arrested before his scheduled performance at the Rolling Loud Festival in connection with a previous weapons charge.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video. Not a good day for Kodak, but be sure to like the video and subscribe to King Trending. Number 5. The festival arrest.
Also on 7 this morning, rapper Kodak Black arrested on night 2 of the Rolling Loud Music Festival.
Currently, Kodak Black is in jail for some serious charges. But what exactly are they? Well, this happened earlier in May when Kodak was set to go to a festival, specifically the Rolling Loud Music Festival, which is to be held at the Hard Rock Stadium in the Miami Gardens. It should have been a very easy thing for him to do, except for one thing. There were acts of violence outside of the venue before the festival started, so the police were on site to search anyone and everyone who was going to be at the show, and that includes the singers.
Show us he was arrested on state and federal firearm charges and seen here in cuffs at the Federal Detention Center.
When the police searched Kodak Black, they found several firearms on his person. Now, technically speaking, this could have been okay if he had a permit to carry them, but he did not. Instead, he actually used the illegal means to get the guns, not via back alleys, but by filing false forms that allowed him to get several firearms. And the fact that he had these at the concert he was supposed to be attending to caused a lot of problems. The arrest wasn't immediate, and he then turned himself in once the warrant for his arrest went out.
As rapper Kodak Black turned down an offer from the state of 8 years in prison for an alleged battery and probation violations.
But that was still a problem for him. After all, having a concealed weapon without a permit is a big crime. And for getting those firearms via illegal means, yeah, that just really just adds up to the crime. Which means he could be serving a great deal of time behind bars, and apparently that's what the prosecutors in this case are going for. They're going to try to put him away for a very long time. And that is actually what leads us to the most recent development in the case. Number 4. No bond.
Weapons charges. Federal prosecutors were in court today to appeal a judge's decision to release the 21-year-old Pompano Beach native.
After his arrest and arraignment in court, Kodak pleaded not guilty to the charges, which is not unexpected given who Kodak Black is. And to his credit, his charged work, because the judge in the case agreed to release him on bond for $550,000, as long as he agreed to house arrest, which he did. For the record, house arrest is where he would be given an ankle monitor and not allowed to leave a certain part of the house until given permission. However, the prosecution in the case weren't having this. They appealed to the judge and asked him to revoke the bond and house arrest ruling. They argued that he was a danger to the community. Wherever he goes, Your Honor, there's going to be guns, drugs, and shootings, the prosecutor said. Adding to that, Black might also be at risk of fleeing. Now, if this was his first arrest, the appeal most likely would have been denied. However, Kodak Black has had a very long history of issues with the law, and due to that, the judge accepted the request. The bond and release have been revoked, and now Kodak Black has to stay in jail until his trial commences, which for him is a bigger problem than you might think. First and foremost, he's actually wanted on warrants for charges in other states. So even if he was able to get out, it's likely he would have been given over to them. Second, now he's in jail. He has to wait for his trial to start. As to when that is, well, that's really unknown, as a trial date really hasn't been set yet. It's believed that it'll start before the end of the summer, but until it's official, he's going to be playing the waiting game. With the prosecution as hungry as they appear to be, they're going to be aiming at his sentence to be as long as possible. Number 3. The possible sentencing.
Octave, who's better known as Kodak Black, was in front of a judge after additional charges were filed against him for violating his probation.
So let's say that Kodak Black's trial starts within the next few months. He's found guilty of weapon charges filed against him. What does this mean in the long run of things? According to the prosecutors on the case, they feel that if the judge rules their way, they can get Kodak Black put away for 8 years. While that's not the longest of sentences, especially considering other rappers like Offset and 6ix9ine might be facing a decade to life in prison for their own crimes, it's still a hefty sentence. And like I mentioned before, there are other charges against Kodak Black in other states who would want him for themselves. So it's a possibility that this arrest and possible conviction could lead to other arrests and convictions along the way, creating a domino effect of sorts that'll result in him being in jail for a very long time. Or there's always the possibility that he might only get a few years of jail time and then walk. It's honestly hard to say, and that being said though, it's fair to say that the reason the prosecution is going so hard after him isn't because of his past crimes and influences on the local community, but also that they have definitive evidence and testimony that'll likely put him away. In the court of the law, evidence and testimony is everything. When you hear about certain people getting off, it's because the prosecution didn't have enough to convict. This doesn't seem to be the case here, especially since Kodak's past proves that he's more than capable of doing these things and more. Number 2. Past crimes.
bartender who alleges that Kodak Black attacked her inside of a nightclub was under cross-examination.
A lot of people look at rappers and think all of them have major issues with the law. For the most part, that's untrue. However, you do see and hear about guys like Kodak Black, and you realize that those who do get in trouble with the law keep on getting in trouble with the law. And he can't even make the excuse that all of this happened because he was a rapper, because he got in trouble a lot as a kid as well. He was once placed in a detention center 3 times during a single year because of his violent and extreme behavior. Fast forward to October 2015, he had his first major arrest. He was charged with robbery, battery, false imprisonment of a child, and possession of an illegal substance. That's a pretty long list for a first arrest, don't you think? And, you know, thankfully for him, he was released not long after. But just as not long after, he got arrested again. Because in April of 2016, he was arrested with a possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of an illegal substance, and fleeing from the officers. Are you starting to notice a pattern here? He doesn't really exactly do anything small. It's a chain of things that often gets him in trouble. So yeah, the pattern is pretty obvious. Well, once again, he was released, but once again, he got arrested not long afterwards. In fact, it was a month later he got arrested for armed robbery and false imprisonment. You might be wondering, what saved him from all of these charges? Rap music. Ironically enough, executives from the Atlanta Records came to his trial and noted that if he was released, he would have a future in the rap industry that might save him from his future crimes. Only if they knew. Anyway, he pleaded to no contest to the charges and then got a plea deal as a result. He was placed on house arrest for 1 year and had 5 years of probation, performing community service as required as well, and taking anger management classes. Do note though that this was done in 2016, so he's technically still on probation until 2021. So you'd think that he'd be a bit more careful about getting into trouble, but he wasn't at all. So if anything, his new career in rap just fueled his bad behavior even more. Not to mention, before the deal even got finalized, there were some more warrants for his arrest that were found for various other charges. So that really threw a monkey wrench into his plans, though he somehow got out of jail and he was allowed to make music. Anyway, we get into 2017, which is still 2 years from where we are right now, and Kodak Black had another arrest as he violated the terms of his probation. This actually caused him to postpone a tour that he was doing at the time, as he was held in jail without bond. To make matters even worse, he was also indicted on a misconduct case. Of course, the worst kind, if you get my drift. And will have to face that charge in terms of a trial should he make it that far. And then in May of 2017, he was actually sentenced to a year in jail, but then only served 2 months, and then was put on house arrest for the rest. You'd really think he would have learned by now, but hey, it's Kodak. Of course he didn't. And again, it got even worse. And so this one time he thought it would be a great idea to go to a party and do an Instagram live stream showing him passing around illegal substances and then having a firearm around a child. After this and this and this, it just seems like he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care. After the authorities were alert, he was then arrested and faced 7 felony charges, including child neglect, grand theft of a firearm, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of a illegal substance. The case was a long one, and along the way, the charges got lesser and lesser as he pleaded not guilty to the rest. He again served a short jail sentence. As if all of these crimes weren't enough, Kodak Black got sued for not showing up to his own concert that was rescheduled multiple times to try and benefit Kodak Black. He was sued for damages to both money and the promoter's reputation. And to add to that, another recent arrest in regards to having illegal substances on this person, and he got a plethora of crimes, arrests, bad decisions, and just stupidity on part of Kodak Black. And to be honest, it's a miracle that he's not in jail for life at this point. But then again, he's facing charges from various states. So when you look at the grand scheme of things and witness all that he's done, can you see where the prosecutors are coming from? Can you see why they're pressing so hard to get him in jail and keep him there for a while? He really is a danger and a threat to people around him, and that deserves punishment for what he's done, regardless of whether it's a long or short sentence. Number 1, what is the future of Kodak Black?
Rappers ain't never do shit. Some rappers scared to go to jail. I will go to jail tonight.
So here we are. Kodak Black is in jail now, awaiting his trial that will take place in a few months. So where does that leave him now? Well, best case scenario, he either gets a mistrial and is allowed to walk, unlikely at this point in time, or he gets a plea deal that allows him to go free under certain conditions. But given his past and his propensity for not obeying his probation and the rules of plea agreements, I doubt that the prosecutors will allow him to get off that easy. At a minimum, they're going to ask for a year or 2 of jail time, and they're certainly hungry to get him off the streets for longer than that. So they're going to be pushing for more, no doubt. And so he's likely going to get even more jail time. And even if he somehow got out of this one, there are a couple other states waiting for him to stand trial for various other crimes, some of which carry heavy jail sentences themselves. At present, it doesn't look like Kodak Black is getting out of this one. And even if he did say a stint or 2 or 3 years and didn't get charged on anything else, that doesn't mean he'll just be allowed to walk right back into the rap world. Sure, he has some hits here and there, but he's not the biggest star out there. A couple years to a rapper like him is a long time to be forgotten. As for right now, Kodak Black's future is rather bleak. He has absolutely no one but himself to blame for all of this. And so there you have it, a breakdown of Kodak Black and why he might be spending some serious time in jail on top of what he's doing right now. So how do you think this trial will go? Will he get some more serious jail time? Or will he somehow get out of it? And of course, do you think think he deserves to be in jail for a long time? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on King Trending. A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.